I'm currently having thoughts about hypothetically 3 different price scenarios for AIOZ in an event where maybe let's say there is even a fully fledged type of altcoin season during this cycle, but even though nothing I say is financial advice, what is the first price scenario I want to take a look at? That is maybe the idea of, let's say, $4. Around an 11.7x from here, and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 4.8 billion. Now, why wouldn't that necessarily surprise me? It's because I like the fundamentals of AIOZ. After all, right, if we take a look at the AIOZ network, it is a decentralized physical infrastructure network for Web3 AI, storage, and as well as streaming. Now, I like these markets because, again, AI, storage, and streaming. Now, again, when it comes to AI, we already kind of know about the attention that has, right? Like, for instance, even according to Grandview Research, the AI market is predicted to be worth nearly $2 trillion by 2030. So I find that very impressive. But a lot of people, I feel like, already kind of, think about the hype regarding AI. But then I think some other markets out there that AIOZ is focused on really doesn't have that much attention. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit more. Like, for instance, I mentioned storage, right? Now, if we take a look at that, sometimes you may be thinking, okay, who cares about that? Well, the global data storage market size by 2030, according to Fortune Business Insights, is expected to be worth nearly $800 billion. So being focused on that, I don't think is necessarily such a bad thing. Now, also on top of that, we take a look at, for instance, streaming. Now, streaming is pretty, I think, popular, right? But then at the same time, if we take a look at it, sometimes it's not really talked about that much when it comes to projects that are focused on that. However, to me, it is something I want to take a look at because, yet again, according to Grandview Research, the video streaming market size by 2030 is expected to be worth over $400 billion. So again, that's pretty impressive. So when I take a look at AIOZ primarily, right, the way I take a look at it, being focused on streaming, AI, I take a look at something like storage. I feel like they're kind of focused on markets that can hypothetically maybe have a bright future ahead, but only time will tell. Now, I've seen historical partnerships when it comes to AIOZ. Something like NVIDIA, right? Something like Google for startups, and even Qualcomm as well. So I find just AIOZ overall as a pretty solid project in my perspective. I can't speak on anyone's behalf, but when I consider all that, and let's say maybe there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season, and also I take a look at the exchange listings and the community when it comes to AIOZ, at the price of, let's say, $4 wouldn't necessarily surprise me if maybe, let's say, again, there was a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Now, the second scenario I want to take a look at is, let's say, maybe the idea of $4.50, around a 13.2x from here, market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply would be nearly $5.5 billion. Now, why wouldn't it necessarily surprise me? It's because that market cap, I think, is not really something too outlandish, right? Like, personally, this is just my mindset, but I've seen like Shiba Inu reach around $40 billion in market cap back in 2021. This doesn't seem that ridiculous, but again, this is just my mindset. However, when I take a look at, let's say, the final price scenario, arguably $5 maybe, hypothetically, now that is around a 14.7x from here. Market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around $6 billion. The way you take a look at that is, if there is supposedly over 600 million crypto owners currently, which is supposedly more than ever before in history, but when I also kind of combine that with the Ethereum ETF, the Bitcoin ETF, if this altcoin season, maybe, let's say if we ever see a fully fledged one during this cycle, look better than back in 2021, wouldn't really surprise me. But again, only time will tell. And if, let's say, there was those events, $5 when it comes to AIOZ wouldn't necessarily surprise me either. But that's just my point of view. Now, all I can do is stay patient, though, because whenever altcoins really does decide to peak, let's say, if it ever even does during this cycle, let's say like November, December, or October, or let's say it's prolonged until sometime next year, like in Q1, like January, February, or like, March or something like that, right? Whenever that timeline is, all I can do is stay patient and wait. All I'm doing is just waiting for a moment in time. It does something as opposed to trying to find the perfect moment, because I don't think I will be able to find the perfect moment. So I'm just dollar cost averaging, holding, and just waiting. Again, I'm just staying patient when it comes to AIOZ because that's all I can do actually right now. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.